Welcome to For the Purpose Of, the podcast where we navigate the intersection of technology and the world of education. I'm Keith Tramper.
And I'm Sarah Wood.
And I'm Ron Houtman. Today we're going to be talking about a subject that is near and dear to many of us, which is education. But we're going to talk about a specific area, is just thinking about adult learners in how we might explore some strategies to support adult learners, many of whom are newcomers here to the United States in pursuit of their GED and other general education credentials. And, you know, adult learners and newcomers are always striving for education. That's one of the things that we see often. And that opportunity for them to acquire knowledge and credentials can be really life-changing for them. So as we know, education empowers individuals, providing them a really great pathway to better employment prospects, higher earning potential, and a deeper understanding of the world around them. So we're going to talk a little bit about specific technological tools that educators can integrate into their teaching methods to better support adult learners, especially non-native English speakers. And we can also think about ways that they might be able to use these new tools, because this is an education technology podcast. We got lots of really cool tools that you as our listeners may not even be aware of, but we want to help you help other folks. So we're going to start out with our question of the podcast. This is the Getting to Know You segment. So Sarah, go ahead and ask the fun question.
So my question has nothing to do with technology, but rather kind of your family birth order. I'm curious, how many siblings do you have? Where do you fall in birth order? And if you would like to share, what are the best and worst parts of your birth order? And I'm going to throw this to Keith first.
Yeah, I am the oldest of two. My sister and I got along really, really well growing up. So I don't know that I could say there's really a worst part, but I think the best part is that as the oldest, I got to test the waters before my parents really wised up to certain things that were going on. Not that I was a super rebellious kid, but definite benefit for being the first child.
So Sarah, for some reason, I think this is a question, like this is a fishing quiz, right?
I'm trying to get PII out of you.
Are you? Like,
no.
And then you're going to ask me like what my first animal was. And the
yeah,
next
what
podcast,
street did you live on?
And then somebody's going to put all these podcasts together and you're going to figure out what all of my secret questions to my password were. Okay, so I'll try to do this without exposing too much PII. I am the oldest of three, and the thing that I think about most is how often that I was called upon to take care of them when you've got both parents that are working. So you are the responsible one to make sure that nobody injured themselves inside the house, set the house on fire, et cetera, all those things. So I think it teaches, as the oldest, much responsibility. I still think too, I was just talking to somebody about this morning about like my first jobs or maybe it was Keith the other day too, about being 12 years old working and what that's like. I don't think that's even a thing anymore, because of if people knew right now where those jobs were that I did when I was 12, you could go back to that time with the current laws that we have. I'm sure everybody would be under Child Protective Services. Just thinking about it. So Sarah, how about you?
So I am the second of four. I'm the only girl. So I have three brothers. And being that I'm the second and the only girl, I also kind of took on that caretaker role. My mom knew, especially during the summer while we were home, if there was any shenanigans going on, she would hear about it and get a full detailed report, because, in my eyes, I was following the rules that were set for us. My brothers probably perceived it as tattling. I don't know. It's up to interpretation. I think I kind of fall into that quintessential like middle child. One of my other brothers who's kind of in the middle, like we own that role of that stereotype, I guess, but I embrace it. It's all right.
I imagine the full report of the details of the goings on of the day I still remember that report would come from all the neighbors around us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I was happy to tattle on my brothers. I would even pretend to call my mom at work and have a whole conversation with my mom. But instead, I had just called the weather lady and was like talking to her. Yep. Oh, yeah. I knew how to work that system.
Okay, so we're going to get into our normal part of the podcast, which is supporting adult learners, just because of the turmoil that we see around us all the time. We do see many folks coming to the United States because they see it as a promise of a great life for them, and as they would come into our communities, we need to figure out some ways to support these newcomers that we have coming into any sort of situation that we have. So maybe these newcomers have children that they're going to enroll in school, and all three of us have been around lots of different languages that are coming to our schools. A lot of times the kids, because they pick up languages a whole lot faster and they may have been learning these for a while, they a lot of times end up as the de facto translator for their parents. But they still want to get to some point where the parents have really good grasp on both the English language or the ability to use tools around them to be more effective and productive. So we're going to talk just a little about some of the tools that we know about, and just think about how we can use these things to make life for them a little more engaging, accessible, inclusive. So kind of have these in three categories. I'm going to just first talk about language learning tools. And there's so many of these now that are great. I think all of us have probably started out with Duolingo on our phones at least one time in our life, to have it only harass us that we're not keeping up our streak, which is they gamify it pretty big to make sure that you're, doing your lessons. I have it on my phone and I get nagged by it about every 3 days because I forget about it, and they come back to tell you, and then they say it like, you're disappointing us, or, you're losing your streak. So
The shame factor.
it works too. I think that's the thing, is it really works on me. So, I'm a lifelong attempting to learn Spanish learner kind of person. It's coming along. I can understand enough. I'm not going to say conversationally, but I can understand enough if it's slow enough. And I think it's due to both the exposure, but also using those apps. So things like Duolingo is really great. Another one I would really suggest to folks would be look at your local library. For example, here in our area, we have Kent District Library and Grand Rapids Public Library. Both of them offer basically just using your library card to get into another language tool, which I like a lot. It's called Mango Languages, which is a little bit different than Duolingo. Mango is a lot more heavy into the conversational side of things versus Duolingo, which seems to me mostly just word acquisition. They're both really important. I think learning a core group of like 200 words in English is a really good thing, but eventually you're going to have to progress beyond just knowing those 200 core vocabulary words. So I would always suggest folks take a look at, and we'll talk about some other resources at KDL, Kent District Library, and GRPL also. So Sarah, what do you think about other tools?
Just hearing you say that, Ron, I think it's so good for educators. Not that we need to add anything else to our plate, but if we know that we have a population of, let's say, Spanish-speaking students, like doing those courses ourselves so that we can have that bank of 200 words to at least have some, very basic conversation, I think is so helpful for even the educator, not just as the learner learning those words.
Yeah, just a second thought about that too is every time I go to a school, I ask, how many different languages might you have spoken in your area? And the answer I'm getting from like my friends in some of the districts in the area are something like 40 or 50 different languages now, which is just astounding to me. So, it's not always going to be Spanish. It could be 39 other ones too.
Exactly. So I guess my approach is thinking through adult learning theory and making sure that there's an understanding of why you're using what you're using, so that you can kind of have that own like intrinsic motivation to want to continue learning more. And I think I kind of live in those tools that can be applied not just for a specific use or just to learn the language, but will help them beyond a specific learning experience. So like the Google suite of tools, I think there's so much that is being built into those products that can help as far as even translating and learning how to do text to speech and that. There's a lot that's built in on Chromebooks as far as accessibility for doing that, where I think that understanding how to learn those tools are great for language learning, but then it's applicable after you're done with your learning. You can take that into the real world. And I also kind of think about too, I try to put myself in the shoes of the learner. How would I want to learn? Do I want stuff kind of, word vomited at me? where, you have to just basically rote memorization for everything. And yes, there's a time and a place for that, but like, how can you make it fun where someone will want to learn more about it? So I think some of those gamified learning tools such as Kahoot or Blooket, quizzes, I mean, there's a ton of different ones, can be powerful tools in the fact that they are gamified and adds just a different element to the learning. But I think specifically with Blooket, like it can tie in where you have to collaborate with others. So that builds in a whole other layer of the learning where you're working with others. You have to communicate in person or online. It's not just back and forth between you and a computer per se. So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I will add to that, making learning accessible. I know our last podcast was actually on that in terms of digital materials, but when we look at apps, there are a handful like you guys have talked about, but one that I really like is Notability. It's an iPad app, but it can be really helpful for language acquisition because here's how it works. You pull up a document that you can start taking handwritten notes in, and you hit record, and it'll capture all the audio that your instructor is speaking out loud, and it will time it along with the notes that you're writing down inside of that document. So you can go back at any point and listen to what your instructor was talking about and what they said, and then also review your notes as well. So it can be a good language acquisition tool as well, but also just a great study aid. So a good one to share with students if they've got iPads.
Reminds me, remember that LiveScribe pen that did that? I always wonder
yeah.
what happened to that thing. I forgot that Notability did that. That's a really great suggestion.
Yeah. Another one within that same realm, I think about adult learners with ADD or ADHD. And a tool that I think we've talked about on the podcast before is Goblin Tools, which is an AI tool that will break down any task that you enter into it into smaller steps, which is a executive functioning skill that a lot of our ADHD and ADD learners, could use supports in. So one to check out there. And also with adult learners, sometimes there's a bit of tech aversity, meaning we're scared to use technology or we just don't have a lot of tech skills. So there's tools. Ron mentioned some from KDL or GRPL. The library systems. LinkedIn Learning is one that's available to most of the educators that we have in Kent County. So that's a good place to go and learn about those tools that you use on a day-to-day basis, how to write an email, how to do a to-do list, how to use technology to help with that, how to use Google Docs or Microsoft Word. Those are all there. And GCF Learning is another great place to go. That one's available to anyone for free. I also think adult learners are unique in the fact that they have very complex lives. So it's helpful to have productivity skills, ways to keep track of the things that you've got going on and manage and prioritize all of that. So a few that I like in that realm are Trello, which is probably one of the more popular ones. It's nice because it will work on your phone. It'll work on a laptop. It goes across any device you want. You can share it with other people if you're trying to collaborate around things. Google Keep is a good old standby, works for a lot of things. It's, again, accessible across all the different devices you can think of. It can act as a to-do list or just a little note-taking space. So that's Google Keep. And then one thing that I've learned is when we look at to-do lists, sometimes it's better to stick with analog. If you can just write down a list. One of the things I use is bullet journaling. I would say it's a very light version of bullet journaling because you can go very deep into that pond. But their suggestions for to-do lists are backed by research, and they're really good. And their idea is to create just a master to-do list, a big to-do list of all the things that are in your head, just brain dump them out, and then create a system for tracking them. So for me, I create a little box next to each item, like a checkbox. And when I've started a task, I will put a slash in it to say, like, okay, I've gotten this one going. Maybe I'm waiting on a response from somebody. And then when I finish the task, I will cross it off the other way and make an X in the box. So it's a done thing. But one of the things I've learned too is it feels really good to cross the entire item off of your list. There's actually some brain science behind that about what that does for your brain and how it keeps you motivated to keep going with the to-do list. It's very interesting. But once you've got that tracking system down, each day, identify like your top 3 or 4 things on your list. I usually just put a little dot inside the box when I'm going through that. And then tackle those 3 to 4 things first and go on to the next thing from there. So those are just a few things that are on my mind.
It sounds like it involves many different colored pencils.
I was just going to say, hearing you talk made me think about going back to just using sketchnoting as a tool as well, making your thinking visible. And it doesn't matter what language that's in. It's whatever makes sense to you.
Yep, my sketchnoting journey started at the same time my bullet journaling journey did.
They can easily go hand in hand.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good thing, what you just said, Keith, is to, when we are encountering people that are learners, right, is asking them the questions like, how do you organize yourself to make sure that you're meeting your goals? What does your goal attainment or system look like? Because everybody really needs a good system for doing that. And I think from our younger students that we have, helping them create their own system that makes sense to them so they use it all the time. I've gone through this path. I'm sure all of us have done this, is trying to figure out a really good productivity system. And what you end up doing is you keep switching tools to try to find the perfect tool. And I think maybe you guys would agree that it's very difficult to find the perfect tool. You just need to find the one that you use and continue to use it all the time. So helping our adults know that, it doesn't matter if they are a adult learner in school or not in school. I think helping them understand having a goal attainment system is a really good positive thing for them as an adult too. We're going to be right back after this quick commercial.
Calling all K-12 educators in West Michigan. Are you curious about how artificial intelligence can transform the future of learning? I am. I've heard AI can personalize learning, but I want to know how to implement it in my classroom. Then mark your calendars for the Kent ISD K-12 AI Summit, happening April 29th, 2024. This one-day event brings together educators like you to explore the exciting potential of AI in education.
A panel discussion with experts? That sounds informative.
You got it. Plus, choose from 2 breakout sessions focusing on specific AI applications in the classroom.
This is exactly what I need!
And to top it off, enjoy a networking dinner to connect with colleagues and share your insights. Don't miss this opportunity to shape the future of education. Visit the Kent ISD PD Hub today to register. Space is limited, so register early.
Hello, listeners. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of For the Purpose of. We know you've got big ideas to share. That's why we created the podcast PDX community. PDX is free, flexible, and a light lift for busy educators who want to stay on top of their game. You're already listening to the podcast. Why not earn sketches for it? Head over to bit.ly/FTPO PDX to get started. This episode's podcast PDX question is, what are some tools or strategies that you use in your own learning as an adult? Let us know at bit.ly/FTPO PDX. And welcome back. As you know, McCall is coming up next week. That's the conference for Michigan Association of Computer Users in Learning. And at that conference, there are all kinds of different awesome tech ideas, tools, strategies, all sorts of different stuff. We've long participated in it. I know Sarah currently is involved in marketing for McCall, and Ron is a former conference chair and I think board member too, right?
Yep, did that as well for many years.
Yeah. So it's a conference that's near and dear to our hearts. It's here in Grand Rapids this year, and we like to take a moment and just kind of talk about what we're excited for, what topics and speakers are we looking forward to, and then just as far as the conference goes, what about it is appealing to you this year? What are you looking forward to? So for me, I'm looking forward to most just kind of seeing how educators are using computational thinking with their students in the classroom, what that looks like. I want to get a good pulse on how educators are using AI and how they're talking about all the different sides of AI and how they address it within their schools. It looks like there are a lot of AI sessions, so I'm hoping that that is not terribly overwhelming. It'll be interesting to try to choose a session focused on AI. And then, the big thing for me is I just love going there and seeing all the different innovative ideas, innovative people, and the ways that they're going about finding solutions for different issues in the classroom. So it's a good chance to be with our tribe in the ed tech world. I always walk away feeling really good that week. So that's my thinking. What about you, Ron?
My favorite part of the conference is LobbyCon. So LobbyCon, if you've never heard that term before, that's meeting all of your people that you haven't seen in a while in one place, but sitting someplace and anywhere in the conference and just talking to people and catching up with them, but also talking about things that they're doing and how they might be solving problems that I or we might have too. So that seems to be like one of the best things ever is meeting with people and going to a few sessions here and there. I'm presenting at a couple sessions just to make sure that I'm sharing knowledge with the community too. So I'm going to be presenting at a panel called Tech Leaders Tale from the Trenches on effective practices in organizations. So we're going to talk a little about how we might be a better information technology and teaching and learning with technology department, and what are those things that we need to do to make sure that we're being effective to make sure students are getting what they need as learners. And another one I'm doing that's a little bit of a departure from, I think, most sessions, but I'm going to be doing a pretty big session on personal privacy and how teachers can take what they're going to learn in my session and make sure that our students are getting to it. A lot of this topic is really coming out of, again, AI and thinking about how many people around me in my life I know that have had data breaches where their data has been exfiltrated from places like Experian and all the other data breaches that are out there, about how you as a teacher can better protect your personal data to basically prevent money from being stolen from your bank accounts and other things. But it's a really good thing to teach our kids too, especially with how AI works. We're going to have a whole lot more of spam / phishing / data breaches now that AI makes it so much easier to convince people to willingly give up their money, their bank account information, other personally identifiable information based on a kind of a relationship thing. So, when people call you and say, hey, I'm so-and-so from your bank, and I would love to do this thing with you using AI voices and whatever. So it should be interesting. It's kind of meant to be half scary, but very informative to people too. So Sarah, how about you? What are you thinking about? Plus, I'm thinking too, we had some really nice award winners over on the west side over here.
We did. I'm excited for there's just gonna be so many cool things that are going on. I just would like to give a shout out to the award winners because I'm just gonna say many of them are on the west side of Michigan here. Erin Kratke is the Innovative Teacher. Cheryl Wilson is the Innovative Leader Award winner. Elaine Stifel is the Innovative Technology Professional. Andy Losick is the Frank Miracola Educational Excellence Award winner. And New Buffalo Area Schools is the recipient of the Innovative District Award. So congrats to all those award winners. I know there's a lot of stuff that goes into even, getting to that point where someone nominates you. So I'm very proud of all of them. Some of the other things that I'm excited about are that there's going to be a lot going on in the McCall zone this year, and we would love to see new, fresh faces hanging out in that area. So that is going to kind of be the hub of where a lot of experiences are at, including All Day Thursday in the McCall zone will be a photo booth. So grab a friend, go get your picture taken. That will be lots of fun. There's going to be some friendship bracelet trading going on, T-Swift style, but feel free to have fun with that. Make some and bring them to conference. I'm also presenting a workshop on SEL Playground. There are still spaces, so feel free to sign up. And I'm doing a session on Doodle for Your Noodle, which is a REMC project that I've been running this year on sketchnoting. So yeah, I think it's hard to pick out just a few things. There's a lot going on that I'm really excited about for this year.
Yeah, I was going to say too, just thinking about conferences. I was at a conference last week, Michigan Council for Exceptional Children, and they, from what I'm understanding, they've reached pre-pandemic levels of attendance again. So they were, and I've seen this in a lot of conferences. I think the conferences are coming back, even though I know I predicted that conferences were dying. I was really wrong, and I'm here to admit it. I think they're coming back with kind of a vengeance. I think people
Are
got
you writing
sick.
this down, Keith? He said
Yeah.
he was wrong.
Yeah, I was wrong.
I'm just kidding, Ron. Another thing too I was going to mention, just hearing you say that, was there are so many evening activities that go on that it wasn't until the last year or so that I started going to them, and I wish I've been going sooner. It's a great way to connect with people, get a free meal usually, but it's learning in a very relaxed environment where learning isn't necessarily the core of why you're there. So if you see those vendor events or even the McCall reception, go to those. It's a great time, great experience.
Yeah, I'll second that. All right, so tune in next time for a recap on the McCall experience. We'll be post-conference at that point and share some of the big ideas that are going on out there. I do want to share a special shout out to Elaine Stifel, who is part of our KETS network. Congratulations on your award through McCall. And to Cheryl Wilson, who was actually on our podcast. Was that last year? Talking about some computer science stuff around the state of Michigan. So congratulations to both of you. Well-deserved. And we're really glad that you're in our communities. If you've got questions or different ideas, tips, and tricks, we would love to hear them. Make sure that you get on bit.ly/IamEdTech and share those with us.
And that's it for this episode of For the Purpose Of. Thanks for tuning in today. If you like this podcast, we'd love for you to share it with a friend.
And give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcatcher app. We'd love that too. That really helps out the podcast and everything else that we do. So just back to our original question is, if you are in our PDX courses or you just want to contact us, we'd love to hear about you and your experience of what child you were in your household. Were you number 1, 2, 3, 7? I know there's some out there. I think my other side of the family has that many. We'd love to hear from you. We're always looking for your feedback that you might have too, so you can reach out and find all the things about EdTech and us and the podcast at bit.ly/IamEdTech. So that's bit.ly/IamEdTech, all lowercase, all smashed together. So we'll catch you next time on For the Purpose Of.
This podcast is a service of Kent ISD, produced by Ron Houtman, Sarah Wood, and Keith Tramper, and edited by Keith Tramper. Our theme music is Neon Nights by Scott Holmes Music, and our ad music is Vienna Beat by Blue Dot Sessions.
In a world where AI takes over your brain.
Sounds like Ron's doing the commercial now.
Yep.